Welcome into Texans today, everybody. I'm your host, Jeremy Chuggs, and coming up on today's show, news and notes from the Texans' first day of padded practice. A lot of interesting things coming out of this first padded practice. DeMeco said just yesterday, I believe, this is where we'll find out who the real ones are. This is where we'll find out where the rubber meets the road, who's got it, and who doesn't. And before we get started on today's show, maybe one of my favorite things that came from this first day of padded practice was this interaction between punter Tommy Townsend and this, kid who's obviously a huge Texans fan. I probably listened to this more times than I'd like to admit because I thought it was hilarious how he just goes, "I got a freaking cleat!" I mean, it was like, we all remember as a kid going, maybe watching sports, doing, something, maybe going to a sporting event, going anywhere where there's, athletes like this and just being amazed at like what you're seeing. And I think, this kind of brings it back into perspective of what sports and what this is all about, bringing everybody together and just seeing the happiness on this kid's face. It just lit me up. Like this made me so ready for week 1 for Texans versus Rams. Like I'm just goosebumps, absolute goosebumps. I got a freaking cleat. I've listened to it like probably 50 times. It's hilarious. And if you're as pumped up as that kid, if you are ready for this season, go down, like the video, smash that thumbs up icon down there because, hey, we were all that kid once that got a freaking cleat. And we're all ready to see those guys in their cleats absolutely stomp on the Rams in week 1. If you're with me, go down and hit that thumbs up icon. All right, on the docket for today, I'm going to go through Texans' top performers so far during training camp, Texans injury report, a little breakdown. DeMeco might not like that part. He was not happy with how the reporting on multiple guys were on the injury front. And then at the very end of today's show, I'm going to do Texans who are struggling so far. All right, let's look at the top performers, though. We'll do the good before we do the bad. Jaylin Noel continues to be that guy. Texans admins, they put out a video of Graham Mertz kind of tossing him a ball up. He, right in the breadbasket, caught it, got past the defender Miles Bryant for a touchdown. Jaylin Noel continues to impress, same as his teammate from Iowa State in Jayden Higgins. He's looked really good as well, running with the ones. Noel running a lot with the twos. Him and Davis Mills have a pretty good connection there. But looking like both these picks by Nick Caserio were really good. Both these guys can, obviously bring two different things to the table. Noel more of a slot guy, more of a shifty man. Higgins more of a big body target, but both these guys have been showing out so far. Another guy who looks like he's been progressing pretty well. We talked a lot about Brevin Jordan. He continues to look good. But Cade Stover is looking really good as well. His connection with C.J. Stroud, obviously former teammates at Ohio State. Could he maybe jump into that tight end 1 discussion? It's going to be a very interesting battle all throughout camp, the preseason. Dalton Schultz, Cade Stover, Brevin Jordan. Who gets the most snaps at tight end 1 out of those 3 guys? Maybe Cade, maybe Brevin. Dalton's still in it as well. He's had a couple of highlights as well, and that's what you want to see. Tight end room, but besides the O-line on the offense, was easily the weakest room going into this season. But maybe it's turning into a little bit of a strength. Another top performer that I've seen, Aireontae Ersery. Today in practice, I've had multiple people tell me, he was awesome. The only time he looked bad was maybe one time going after Will Anderson Jr. And I actually have if you want to do the Duck Race Super in there, so I can be on screen with it. But something that I've absolutely loved with Aireontae Ersery so far is his willingness to learn, his willingness to get out there and, just do everything he can. And this was from my guy Texans Jacob on Twitter. If you're not following him yet, go ahead, go give him a follow on Twitter. But this was them after practice. Just go to Media One and hit the play button for me. He's getting extra work. And this is after every single practice. We've seen Aireontae Ersery with Will Anderson Jr., with Danielle Hunter, getting in that extra work after practice. And he continues to progress. Titus Howard just the other day was saying how much he's gotten better in such a short area of time. I'm really interested to see Aireontae Ersery's progression because he is absolutely putting in that extra work as he should be as a rookie offensive tackle. Let's go to the defensive side now. Kamari Lassiter, another top training camp performer going into year 2. Doesn't look like it was a rookie fluke with Kamari. He is looking like he's a dog out there, breaking up passes left and right, going up against Nico Collins, going up against Christian Kirk, going up against everybody on the Texans offense. This Texans secondary looks legit. Kamari Lassiter has been that guy, and he continues to be that guy for this Texans secondary, along with his buddy Kalen Bullock. Both of them going into year 2, and Bullock had a great pass breakup, almost an interception today. And, he's been shout out by C.J. Gardner-Johnson multiple times saying, this dude is something special. Him and Kamari Lassiter, if they continue to elevate their game, I believe the Texans will have the number 1 defense in the entire National Football League. And definitely, if not that, the top secondary in the entire National Football League. And if we're being honest, the entire starting defense has looked great. I could have put Azeez Al-Shire. He's looked awesome. Will Anderson Jr. maybe having the best camp so far of his entire career. He looks unstoppable. Like I said, Aireontae Ersery looks good against everybody else besides Will Anderson Jr. This entire defense is playing so well, it's actually making it really hard to tell whether the offense is doing well or the defense is just bullying them around because they are so fantastic. Either way, I'm so excited to see this defense absolutely shut down opposing NFL offenses. Another good sight from camp today, Tank Dell was out there. He was out there during the, all of practice, right around the wide receivers during drills, getting a little extra work on the side, talking to the wide receivers, kind of helping them out a little bit here and there. And I absolutely love this. Will he come back and play this season? I hope so. I don't think that that's the case. If he can, that's miraculous. But just him being out there, just him being a part of the, practice in the huddle around the guys lifts everybody's spirits up a little bit. He's a, good leadership guy in the locker room and somebody good to have to keep everybody's spirits up. So if you love to see it, go spam 3 down there for Tank Dell, being a part of the team, even while he's injured, even while he's trying to get back. He's doing everything he can to get back on the field. He's around the team trying to make sure that he's a part of everything, and I absolutely love to see it. If Tank Dell can play this year, I promise you this, I don't care what jersey the Texans are wearing that week. I have an H-Town alternate Tank Dell jersey. If he's coming back this year, I will wear that. I will rock that the first game he comes back 1,000%. I really hope to see 3 out there on the field at some point this year. Like I said, is it likely to happen? I don't know, but still, it would be absolutely electric if it did. Let's go to more reporting from my guy Aaron Wilson, one of the best in the game. You got to give him a follow on X as well. Texans defensive end Darrell Taylor walks off the field under his own power with trainers after getting shaken up. This is something we're going to have to monitor very closely. I know he's not a starter for this Texans defense. He's not the starting edge rusher. Will Anderson Jr. and Danielle Hunter were giving him a lot of props, though, saying this dude is something special. Him and Derek Barnett, if they're able to stay healthy, the rotation of, you just got done going up against Will Anderson Jr. and Danielle Hunter, and now you have to go up against Darrell Taylor and Derek Barnett. I think that would be a great 4-man rotation if he's able to stay healthy. Let's keep an eye out on this one and, keep our eyes peeled for anything going on with Darrell Taylor throughout this week. Another interesting note from Aaron Wilson. He was talking to Sheldon Rankins, newest Texan. Obviously, he was a Texan 2 years prior, then signed with the Bengals last year, now back with the Houston Texans. And this is what he had to say after practice. I wasn't myself last year. Texan Sheldon Rankins shares his battle last year while with the Bengals with viral meningitis and shingles at the same time. Lost nearly 50 pounds at one point. I feel great now. I asked our Bengals guy here at Chat Sports, said, did you know Sheldon Rankins had shingles last year? He was not aware. So I didn't know that he had shingles last year, and having it with meningitis at the same time, no wonder he didn't look himself last year. No wonder he wasn't as good as he was with the Texans the year prior. I didn't even know guys this young had shingles. I thought it was like an old person's disease. I had no clue, and the fact that he lost 50 pounds, wow, that's crazy. Absolutely crazy. So something else to monitor there with Sheldon Rankins coming back this season. It looks like he's healthy now. It looks like we might be getting the 2023 version of Sheldon Rankins, hopefully, if he's fully healed, fully better from his ailments last year. Whenever I asked our Bengals guy, he said, they just listed it as illness last year. So kind of crazy that was the ending up kind of medical report on Sheldon Rankins. All right, Let's go to some more guys on the injury list. Jalen Pitre missed his 3rd day of practice today, but Aaron Wilson also reported, it doesn't seem to be too serious, and the team's just being precautionary with a lot of their guys. That includes Jalen Pitre. That also includes Christian Harris, who is out there still not practicing yet. Christian Harris, he wasn't put on the PUP list, the physically unable to perform, but he has not yet gone out there during drills and everything. He's right there on the side. He's engaged in everything, but he's not there on the field, not in pads or anything. So really interested to see how that injury progresses. Also, Joe Mixon, and I kind of mentioned it at the top of the show, DeMeco Ryans was pissed. He was kind of mad with how different reporters had kind of taken the Joe Mixon story and kind of ran with it. And he was like, it's not fair. It's really not fair to Joe Mixon and to some of these other guys who are dealing with injuries for people to kind of speculate on those injuries. So I'm not going to do that right here. I'm not going to, speculate on how severe the injury is with Joe Mixon. From what I've been told, not too serious. Now, coming up in just a moment, I'm going to tell you some Texans who have been struggling so far during training camp. One of them might get me a couple side eyes in the comment section, but that's okay. That's okay. I can take it. Before we get into that, though, have a great deal on tap for you today. An insane hoodie deal. Was $69, now just $27. And as we get closer and closer to fall, I promise you they're going to take this deal away, because as it gets a little bit colder outside towards the end of September, going into October, November, they're not going to have deals on these Texans hoodies right here. So all you got to do, go to chatsports.com/HOU massive sale. We've already seen that a ton of them has sold. So some of the different colors do not have all of the sizing options. So get it while supplies last. Navy, gray, and red. Once again, that link, chatsports.com/HOU massive sale, will be in the comment section and description of today's show. Go check it out today while those supplies last. All right, coming up, lastly, Texans who are struggling so far during training camp. And I'm going to keep it 100. And I'm the biggest CJ Stroud fan out there, but if I'm being honest, if I'm being real with y'all, he's struggled so far. CJ Stroud, and even if you asked him, he'd probably tell you he's not playing up to the standard he wants to play. This offense isn't playing up to the standard that they want to play. And as I keep on mentioning, it's tough because he's learning a new offense. Him and Nick Caley, first year together, all these new pieces with the wide receiver, basically an entirely new offensive line. Not on CJ Stroud, the reason why he's struggling as much, but you can kind of see some of the pressure's gotten after him. He's thrown a couple interceptions throughout training camp with guys in his face, and he feels like he has to let it go and make a play, or else he's going to get sacked. So, obviously in training camp, you're just going to go ahead and let it go, throw it anyways, but it's led to multiple interceptions from CJ Stroud during training camp. And as I mentioned, the defense has looked awesome, but it's really the Texans' offensive line that's kind of leading to the CJ Stroud struggles so far. And the one thing that I can say that I'm really happy of, and shout out to my guy Stressens on Twitter, after practice today, apparently Texans offensive line coach Cole Popovich had the boys doing push-ups. Had them doing push-ups after practice for missed assignments, different mistakes throughout the day. And accountability is something that I feel like we didn't really have last year on this offensive line. Maybe part of the reason why they went ahead and traded Jeremy Tunsil away. They felt like there wasn't enough accountability on the offensive line, and now Cole Popovich is kind of bringing that into the fold with kind of how he's taking care of this offensive line and how he wants to move forward with this unit. The last bit that's struggling, and maybe the least important, would be the backup secondary. There's been a lot of good plays from Davis Mills, a lot of good plays from Graham Mertz, and they've been kind of dicing up the backup secondary. And one issue that I had was after the retirement of Ronald Darby, Texans didn't do much, right? They signed Damon Arnett, who's a project player. He's been in the UFL the past years, hasn't taken an NFL snap, I believe, in 4 years. And besides that, they're like, okay, we have a third-round pick in Jalen Smith. And other than that, it's kind of running back from last year. Guys like Miles Bryant, D'Angelo Ross, Traymon Smith, who they signed in free agency, but he's been up and down. So the backup secondary, I'm really hoping that our guys stay healthy, because the backups aren't looking too promising in my opinion, especially with Graham Mertz kind of dotting them up at practice the past couple of days, along with Davis Mills. They've looked pretty good, but they've also haven't been going up against the first defense as much, which kind of helps them look a little bit better, if you ask me. That's all I have for you on today's show, folks. Make sure you hit me up on social media. I'm at Jeremy Chuggs on X, at Jeremy Chuggs on TikTok. You can follow me on IG at Texans Today CS. My DMs are always open.